There's a live shot of our pool in Indiana. Just doing some camera stats for our different pool locations, and this is live in Noblesville, Indiana. They've moved indoors for this event because of the thunderstorms in the area in their normal outdoor pool at Ripfest. It's a live shot of our pool in Indiana. Again, you're seeing a live shot of our pool in Indiana. We are getting ready to introduce our event, the men's 3-meter Well, good afternoon. 4 o'clock in London. It's 11 a.m. in the Eastern Standard Time and 8 a.m. on the West Coast. We are bringing you the FINA Virtual Grand Prix. We have 34 countries, or 34 athletes, 4 nations. We're in 6 locations in 3 different countries. You can see the pools from the 3 different countries there. Sheffield, England, Montreal, Canada, and we are in Indiana, in our 3rd location in the United States. Ripfest divers competing with us here. These events cannot be hosted without our sponsors, and we'd definitely like to thank our presenting sponsors. This is One Square Phillips, major sponsor of Diving Plongeon Canada and of this event. Also Speedo Canada, major sponsor of our athletes in Canada and of this virtual Grand Prix. Government of Canada obviously supporting this, and also supported by Government of Ontario. This event is brought to you, hosted by Diving Plongeon Canada, and it is powered by DPC TV. That's Integrated Sports Systems. Join us now, won't you, for a start list. You can see our athletes. There are 8 of them in total. Page 1 is there. This is the order in which they will be performing their dives. The reverse order from the prelim standings. Page number 2 coming your way. There they are, rounding out our competitors from the USA, Great Britain, and Canada. Join us now for a countdown. 60 seconds of entertainment. Stay with us. Well, we're ready. You can see the athletes in the screens from there. Our judges are ready. There are 7 of them on the panel. They're in their home studios. We also have alternate judges just in case technology fails in one of the home studios of our judges. Let's head out to our first diver in England, Great Britain. This is Ewan McCabe. In Sheffield, performing a 205B. It's a back 2.5 somersault tight position. A good opening for Ewan on his first dive. The judges saw that in real time. He scored 60 points on that dive in the prelims. The judges' awards for Ewan on this attempt, 58.50. A little bit shy of what he achieved in the prelim round. 8 athletes in this competition, performing 6 dives. Back down to Indiana, representing Rip Fest. This is Matthew Mitchell, performing a 405B in her 2.5 pipe position. You can play along at home, viewing. What is your guess that the scores are going to be? The judges are watching this event live, real time, from their home studios. They're entering their scores into the UJudge scoring software. Scores are now in. 58.50 was his score from earlier. 63 on that one for Matthew on his opening dive. You get to stay in Indiana. The lads are at an indoor pool because of weather conditions in their normal outdoor facility there in LaPorte, Indiana. Noblesville, Indiana. 205B for George. Former gymnast George Callanan performing his dive. George heading off to Princeton in the fall. George started diving at the age of 16. After an injury he sustained while performing gymnastics. High-level gymnast from Columbus, Ohio. Scored 55.50 points in this dive earlier. Judges saw the dive in real time, entered their scores. 51 points for George on this opening dive for him. We are going to head out to Sheffield again. This is Hugo Thomas will be performing the 405B inward 2.5 tight position. Nice opening for Hugo. He and Coach Sam Buck will be looking for more points than the 60 points he received in the prelim rounds. Fifth at British Nationals and a 1 meter finalist at British Nationals. The scores are in. Scores coming in for Hugo. 67.50. Nice improvement. My first diver in Canada. You're looking live shot of the Olympic pool in Montreal. Cedric Fofana, 205B, back 2.5, pike position. Cedric came to play in this, the men's 3 meter final. Excellent opening dive for Cedric. Scored 60 points on this dive earlier. The judges had it real time. Their scores were submitted using the UJudge software, transmitted to our studio and broadcast to you. 70.50, 10-point difference on there. 8.5s and 8s for Cedric on his opening dive. Back to Sheffield, the Great Britain diver Cameron performing a 405B. It's an inward 2.5 somersault pike position. Another solid opening dive. Little heavy on the entry, but the judges are looking for all components of this dive: takeoff, in-flight, and the entry. Their scores were submitted in real time. 3 to 5 seconds is all it takes to judge, analyze, scrutinize, and evaluate that dive. 69 points. 64.50 was prelim score. Always looking for advancements on those scores. 8.5 in there is one of the scores for Cameron. We're going to stay in Great Britain for our next diver, diver number 7 of the first round. This is Tyler Humphreys. 405B, inward at 2.5, pike position. Strong takeoff, good control, and a nice entry there for Tyler. I think he and coaches will be happy. The judges had a look. You get to see another replay. Live shot of the boys down on the pool deck. 76.50 points. Vast improvement over the 63 received in prelims. Heading down to Indiana, final dive of the first round. This is Tyler Downs at 205B, back 2.5, pike position. What's your assessment at home for that dive from Tyler? Judges had a look real time. You get the advantage of some slow motion replays. Highlight the good and accentuate the negatives. 63 points. It's a big improvement over the 43 from the prelims. A great opening dive for Tyler in round number 1. You're going to see the leaderboard. The judges do not get to see this screen. It's not on their displays. You get to see them and follow along throughout the competition. Page 2 of the leaderboard there for you. And as the judges don't see the panel, I also don't comment on it. Any information as to create a perception that they're doing something different with their scores. This is round number 2. Ewan performing a 107B. It's a forward 3.5 pike position. Medalist at the European Juniors, gold at the Dresden Youth International. That was Ewan McCabe. And his forward 3.5 somersaults. He received 41.85 points on that dive in the prelims. It's my guess he will get a better result on this one. Great pike. Nose tucked right in there on his knees. 62 points on that one. Vast improvement over the 41 that he received in prelims. Heading back down to Indiana. Ripvest Matthew Mitchell, a 2.05 back 2.5 pike position. Matthew and his back 2.5, reaching for the water, trying to get a vertical entry. Released just a little bit early on there, didn't hold that long enough to achieve vertical. 45 points on that dive, similar to what he received in the pre. We get to stay in Indiana. George Callanan performing a 5.152B, forward 2.5, one twist. You can definitely see the high-level gymnast in George's dives from there. He's making the transition to the sport of diving extremely well. Signed on with the University of Princeton, or Princeton University. Moving on to there, I guess it could be summer that starts up there, all for us here in Canada. 58.50 points on that dive for George. Exactly what he achieved in the prelim round. We're going to go to Sheffield and watch Hugo Thomas perform his 5.152B. It's a forward 2.5 somersault, one twist. Hugo looking over at Coach Sam Buck for some information. He's going to get some more information from our judges shortly as they entered their scores and they're being transmitted to us. $67.50 points for Hugo on his twisting dive. Exactly what he achieved in the prelims as well. Round number 2 for Cedric Fofana, 5.337B, reverse 1.5, 3.5. Whole lot of twisting going on there for Cedric. First year natural sciences student. Canadian junior national record holder. His score is 70 points on that dive. Big improvement over the 57 points that he received in prelims. Cedric and Coach Cesar Henderson will be happy with that result. Back to Sheffield. Cameron performing a 5.152B, forward 2.5, one twist. Cameron. Frozen in position from there. There he is, looking at his coaches, waiting for some feedback from our judges. First, we get to see some replay. Cameron enjoys some golf and cricket and long distance of the world. Bronze medalist at the Dresden Youth International. Waiting on the scores for Cameron. 67.50, mostly 7.5, 1.8 in there. He had 48 points on that dive in prelims, so he and coaches will be pleased. Tyler Humphreys there in Great Britain is forward 2.5, 1 twist. .50 points in the prelims for Tyler. 63 on this one from our judges. Slight improvements from there. Moving into round number 2. A short delay, working on some camera issues in Indiana. Got a slight delay camera issue at our facility in Indiana. Tyler Downs is awaiting his opportunity to perform his dive, but we can't actually get a camera feed at this time, so we're in a slight delay.
Through my hood, the sun's shining. God is good. I'm rolling through my hood. The sun's shining.
So again, apologies for the delay. We have a camera issue in Indiana. Our technicians there are working diligently to try to fix that problem. Please do not adjust your jet. Technical difficulties exist in our world, and we are making some repairs. The delay, we get the opportunity to introduce our officiating panel is before. We have regional representation all over the place, from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Regina, Saskatchewan, Quebec City, Edmonton, Alberta. We have a judge in his studio in Honolulu, Hawaii. We are in Edinburgh, Scotland. And alternate judges in, we have a judge too in St. Louis. Our judge from St. Louis is heading off to the Olympics in Tokyo. And San Francisco is also represented there. London, Ontario, Ottawa, Ontario, and our FINA TVC rep is at her studio in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And we also have Montreal represented in this competition. Great panel of experienced judges, all putting together their efforts and participating in this virtual competition.
Shining, God is good to me, oh, to me, can you see, oh, to me, can you see, and to you, and to you.
Once again, just awaiting camera to come back online in Indiana. We are making a decision to bypass the last dive for round number 2 and move on with our athletes in round number 3 and come back to live shots for Tyler Downs in Indiana when we get our camera back online. See a live shot of our pool in Sheffield. We see Ewan there climbing up the 3 meter. So the decision has been made to carry on with the competition and bypass the USA divers representing Rickfest, and so we get that camera back online. Ewan McCabe from the 305B reverse 2.5 pike position. A replay of Ewan McCabe's third dive in this men's 3 meter final. Judges saw that in real time and had entered their scores. Here they're coming to you right after this replay. Here's the scores for Ewan. 42 points on that dive. 54 points is what he achieved in the prelims. So diver number 2 and diver number 3 are on hold at the moment while we get the cameras back online. And our next diver is Hugo Thomas from Britain. He's there in Sheffield, 305B, reverse 2.5 height position. Well, the folks in the studio and our judges are all working their best to try to bring you live diving. Again, technical difficulty in Indiana, so we are carrying on through. This is Hugo doing his 305B. The judges saw that and entered their scores. Real-time competition brings along some challenges, connectivity, power, all kinds of unknowns. 49.050 points for Hugo in his reverse dive. Let's head out to Montreal. This is Cedric Fofana, a 407C, inward 3.5 somersault, tuck position. Great effort on the inward dive there for Cedric. I think he'll be happy because 32.30 points was his score in the prelims. I'm guessing, I'm only guessing here, that scores will be a little bit higher for Cedric on this dive. You get to see a slow motion replays and a little bit of issues there in slow motion that you can pick up. 64.60 points, double his score from earlier. A big smile for Cedric on that outcome. You can see the difference. You see the place there. Let's go and look for Cameron. He is performing a 107B for 3.5 somersault leg position. Scores coming in for Cameron on his 3.5 somersault. It's great for us to see it in slow motion. You can pick, and also the coaches and athletes can watch it later on as well and pick up some pointers. Good coaching tool for those who need the visual confirmations. Scores are now in for Cameron. He scored better than zero, so we'll get you the real scores on there. And we'll move on to Tyler Humphreys, a 107B for 3.5 somersault pike position. Tyler Humphreys in his 107. Forward 3.5 somersault from there. He scored 69.75 points on that earlier. Judges saw this dive real time, entered their scores. We're just waiting for those to be transmitted to our studio. And they're coming in for Tyler and his scores. Those are scores for Cameron, the previous, and there they are for Tyler. 0.5 points for Tyler. So we are bypassing our divers from the USA because they're still having technical issues down there. We're carrying on with the competition, and we'll get back to the live results from our athletes representing RIP Fest. We can't show you a leaderboard from there because it would not be accurate without our 3 athletes from the US. So we are heading back to live diving in Sheffield, starting around number 4. That's Ewan getting the go-ahead from the on-deck referee in this facility. A little confused by the fact that they're going sooner than they had been in the first round. They've been made aware that they're now up on the board, and this is Ewan in his inward 2.5 somersault type position. Ewan's inward 2.5 in the pike position. The scores coming in. Ewan's down there somewhere. 61.50 points coming in for Ewan on that dive. 57 points is what he achieved in the prelims, so he'll be happy with that improvement. Hugo Thomas. This is a 105B forward 2.5 pike position. Pretty solid dive for Hugo. Scored 50.40 on that in the prelims. Judges had a good look at the real time, entered their scores immediately, and transmitted to us in the studios. Broadcasted to 49.2 on that one for Hugo. Out to Montreal, this is Cedric 307C, reverse 3.5 somersault, top position. Judges saw that real time. You get to see another replay and see what I would say is a pretty good save for Cedric from there. Not sure that he and coaches are completely happy with that hurdle. A little bit off balance from there, but saved it at a good entry. 71.75 points for Cedric on that one. And back out to Sheffield. This is Cameron performing a 205B. It's a back 2.5 pike position. Three points on this dive in the prelims for Cameron. Scores coming in from our judge, another 63 points. Same as the prelim. Tyler Humphreys in Sheffield is also performing a 205B. It's a back 2.5 pike position. Really strong push and lift off. A little bit too strong on the entry going over. 52.50 points on that dive, a decrease from the ground. And we are advancing forward, no delays in here, right into round number 5 for Ewan, a 5152B. It's a forward 2.5 somersault, 1 twist. Still experiencing some technical issues at our pool in the US, so we're awaiting them to come back online so we can see the dives from the American divers from there. Live scores coming in for Ewan, 58.50 points on number 5. Staying in Sheffield, this is Hugo performing a 107B forward 3.5 pike position. Will he or won't he get better than the 60 points that he received in prelims? You can make that assessment. I put money on the over. Really strong, solid takeoff from there. 68-20 I won that for the first time in a decade. Out in Montreal, Cedric Fofana is a 109C. Cedric wastes very little time on the board. He gets the go-ahead, and he goes ahead. Really strong takeoff from there. That's a whole lot of spinning going on to hold that tuck just a little bit longer to get that entry at the vertical. That is a tough, tough dive. Somersault 3.8 tariff on that. Cedric and Coach Cesar down there on the pool deck. Seeing the scores of 43.70 total points. Cameron is performing a 305B, reverse 2.5 somersault. Pretty solid takeoff there for Cameron. Held the pike very nicely. Entered the water. Pretty good. See what the judges have to say about that. He received 61 points earlier, just slight improvement on there, 64.50 for Cameron on his reverse dive. Going to stay in Sheffield. We got it down now. We're in Sheffield in Canada while we wait for the Indiana pool to come back online. This is a 307C reverse 3.5 somersault tuck position for Tyler. Replays coming in. A little bit of a struggle. Seemed a bit rushed at the beginning from there. You can see in slow motion he also landed not towards the end of the board and didn't get to ride the board up as he wanted. 36.75 points.
Follow Ronnie Cycli on Twitter at Ronnie Cycli.
Just getting an update that Indiana has come back online. We have finished round number 5 of our athlete that so here's what's happening. Sorry, I'm just getting production commentary and both you to pass it on to you. We're going to hold off on round number 6 until we catch up with best down there in Indiana. And then we will do round number 6 with all of our athletes. So the athletes in Sheffield and in Canada are going to stand down and go on hold for a short period of time. We are going to go and finish round number 2. This is Tyler down, a 107E forward 3.5 somersault pike position. This is the final dive of round number 2. All right, so after a delay in Indiana, we are now back up with an alternate camera view from there. The divers are able to perform, and that was the final dive of round number 2. Tyler Downs, those scores were entered by our judges. And we'll get back to a leaderboard. There's the scores on that dive for Tyler Downs, 55.80 points on his second dive. We'll be staying in Indiana for round number 3. Matthew Mitchell, a 5.152 beat over 2.5, 1 twist. We're going to see a real-time replay for the benefit of our judges. And replays coming in for you. Scores are in from our judges. Matthew's results, 49.50 points. Staying in Indiana, this is George Callahan, a 107B over 3.5. Pike position. Nice solid pike position there for George. Squeezes those legs nose to knees and spins extremely well. Replay coming your direction. For 12 years, George was high-level gymnast, used to landing on his feet. Made the adjustment and the transition to the sport of diving. 15 points for George on that dive. We're going to stay in Indiana and do a little bit of catch-up here. This is Tyler Downs, performing a 5.154B for 2.5 somersaults, 2 twists. Not seeing a live shot, in a frozen shot in Indiana. Just getting a refresh in Indiana. You notice that we went to a different camera backup plan there. It's being filmed on an iPhone. It's not a shout out for iPhone. And picture was frozen, so they're refreshing, resetting that so that we get to see the final dive of round number 3 for Tyler Downs. get to see the replays for Tyler Downs. Again, his final dive of round number 3. Playing a little bit of catch up, so our athletes in Great Britain and Canada are on hold while we first 2 position. Scores coming in for Matthew. There they are at 58.50 points. 6.5s and the highs of 7 in there for Matthew. Staying in Indiana, this is George Callanan, a 305B reverse 2.5 pike position. Exactly the same points that he received in the prelims. Tyler Downs, a 405B. This is an inward 2.5 pike position. Scores coming in 67.50 points for Tyler on his final dive of round number 4. We are getting set for round number 5 catch-up. At Rip Best, this is Matthew Mitchell, a 107B for 3.5 pike position. Again, we're just playing a little bit of catch up with our divers from Rip Fest down there in Indiana. We had some technical issues on the cameras, so we know that our athletes and the administrators, Julian and Kim White, are keeping things cool there in Sheffield. There's the scores for Matthew, 63.55 points in for that dive. Our next athlete will be competing in Indiana. This is George Callanan at Ripfest, a 405B inward, 2.5 pike position. Scores coming in for George. He received 66 points on this dive in the prelims. Judges saw it real time, entered their scores in the UJudge software, transmitted to our studio in Thunder Bay, and now broadcast out to you worldwide. 57 points for George on that dive. And our fifth and final diver of round number 5, Tyler Downs, performing the 307C, reverse 3.5, tuck position. Coaches and athletes happy. I think Tyler is happy with that takeoff from there. Didn't quite reach the height of the ceiling. I understand he's changing his final dive of the competition because of that low ceiling from there. And he certainly got the height. What the judges had to say about this one, 78.75 points for Tyler on that one. Got 61 earlier in the prelims. Hey, guess what? We're going to see a leaderboard. We have now caught up with all of our divers rounds 1 through 5. There's your leaderboard. Judges don't see it. And we are now able to start a real-time round of our divers. Thanks to our athletes, coaches for bearing with us during that delay time. A little bit inconsistent for the athletes, but I think that they kept themselves warm and limber, and we are now ready to start round number 6, final round of the men's 3-meter finals. 5154B forward 2.5, 2 twists for Ewan McKay. Final dive for Ewan, scored 45.90 points on that dive in the prelims. I'm surmising roughly the same for that on this outcome. We'll see here shortly. There are the judges' scores. 49.30. Thanks to Ewan and coaches for your participation in the men's 3-meter final. Number 6 for Matthew Mitchell, live in Indiana, 5154B, forward 2.5, 2 twists. 45.90 points earlier in the prelims. That was 2 days ago in the prelims for this event. And the scores are coming there for you. 54.40. Good improvement for Matthew in the sixth and final round. Thank you, Matthew, and your coach for participating in this event. George Callanan in Indiana at Ripfest, a 5154B forward, 2.5 somersault, 2 twists. Going to see a replay for our judges. Sometimes a transmission issue. The judges didn't get to see it, so they see a replay at 100%. And there's 51 points for George on that one. 42 points in the prelims, so you'll be happy with the improvement. Moving on to the next diver. This is Hugo Thomas. He is in Sheffield performing a 205B. It's a back 2.5 pike position. .63 points is what he achieved in prelims. What's the over and under on this one? I'm going to pick the over. Personally, I think it was a really good dive. Pretty good entry from there. I'm not one of the judges. I just get to talk on a microphone. Let's see what the judges have to say. What did you have to say about that dive? 67.50. I won my second bet in a decade. Just 4 points more than his prelim rounds. Cedric Fofana in Montreal, a 5154B. It's a forward 2.5 somersault, 2 twists. Good solid finishing dive for Cedric. He looks lonely in that big old pool. We hope to see big crowds there in October for the FINA Diving World Series. Sellout crowds in there at last year's, or 2 years ago now, World Series event. Really nice solid twist, kept his feet together. We'll see what the judges have to say about that one. He had 49 points in the prelims. I think I saw 67 in there. Something popped up. There you go. 73.10. Excellent finishing dive for Cedric. Thank you, Cedric and Team Canada Divers, for your participating in our virtual event. Heading back to Great Britain, Cameron Gamage from Sheffield, a 5154P, forward 2.5 somersault, 2 twists. Scores will be coming in for Cameron. 61 points earlier in the prelims. 64.60 for Cameron on that dive. Thank you, Cameron, your coaches, officials for participating in our Grand Prix virtual event. Staying in Sheffield, this is Tyler Humphreys of 5154B, forward 2.5 somersault, 2 twists.
This man needs your sympathy and wash over me, wash over me.
Final attempt for Tyler in this men's 3-meter finals. Drifted a little backwards on the board just prior to takeoff, not able to ride the full spring of that springboard. 61.20 points is his final score. Thank you, Tyler and coaches out there in Sheffield for participating in this event. Tyler Downs, his final dive of 5152B, a forward 2.5 somersault, 1 twist. Trying to we're going to see a redive for that dive. There is just no proper feed coming in for our judges to score that. So once again, a technical issue with the camera on the final dive of a round of diving. We're on standby when we go back down to Indiana. Just awaiting the camera to come back on live in down there in Indiana. Our Rip Fest athletes in Indiana and Coach John Wingfield who's down there participating with the sanction and support of USA Diving, representing Rip Fest in the competition. And here we go, redive for Tyler 5152B. Trying to get a good enough feed. And We have the scores in. The judges were able to see that dive for the final dive of the competition. Tyler Downs, those scores are now in 58.50 points on Tyler's final dive. Thanks for your patience from the audience and our judges, athletes, and coaches. A few little technical issues from there, but we got through it. A virtual Grand Prix finals men's 3-meter results are there for you now. Congratulations to our athletes. Look at that, how first and second. And all the way down to page number 2, there's your top 8. Thank you, judges. Thank you to everybody working on the program in our studios in Thunder Bay, Montreal, in Victoria, and in New Country, BC. Government of Canada, big sponsor. Thank you very much for your support. Province of Ontario. They're coming back online after many, many COVID issues. One Square Phillips, major